Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Film Family. Thank you for tuning in again. Today, we're going to be talking about a movie that came out, not recently, but it came out this year, like a month, maybe 2 months ago?
Maybe a little longer.
Okay, so it took us a while to get to this one, but we got to it. And
finally.
It is Midsommar. I may be saying that wrong, but that's how I'm going to say it from the rest of this video. I saw the director's edition. You did as well, because by the time we saw it, that was the only one that was out. And it's 2 hours and 51 minutes. That's what it said for me. And that's a long movie, yo. Like that was something. My initial thoughts on this one were I thought it was very overexposed as a movie.
Okay.
And I didn't know if they did that to try and give you that whole culty, like utopian feeling, like you're almost in heaven and everything's super bright. But I felt like technically there was a way they could have done that without being so overexposed.
Interesting.
You know? Maybe it was because they were filming actually in Sweden and it's all sunlight there, you know, and they had nothing to do. But if you should see this, I'm not going to say you should see this movie just yet, but basically it's about a couple. I walked in late to this one as well, so I missed the front of it. I thought that it was about a girl who cheated on a guy. Did she cheat on him, or were they just having like relationship issues?
No, basically she had her backstory was that her parents and her sister died.
Somebody committed suicide.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the sister.
Doesn't show it?
Well, it shows all three of them dead by
but the
carbon
sister is the
vibes.
one that was gassed.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense.
And so she has these issues now, and so the boyfriend kind of feels trapped, but at the same time he feels obligated because he's.
Oh, dude, that puts it in a whole different light because I thought that she had cheated on him and he was doing this for payback from the trailer.
No.
Oh,
so basically, no, she just was a little needy, but at the same time needed him.
Yeah.
You know, like it makes sense. But he was almost like, I guess the point is that he was too much of a coward because he would complain in front of his friends. But then when he was with her, it was like, oh, okay, come,
I'll take care of you.
And all that stuff. So a little more of a hypocrite in that way. But this movie was interesting to me because as like a filmmaker, I enjoyed this movie in terms of like what it was doing, pushing envelopes, and also kind of certain shots of it were very beautifully done. But it was weird, like really weird. And I've seen weird movies. I'm not gonna name them, but I've seen some weird movies. And this one was still like it shocked me at times in that way. And I think that's what it was designed to do. Ari Aster, who did Hereditary, which was also a good movie that shocked people. And actually, I don't know, the cast was good in my opinion. Like, I had nothing to say bad about the cast in terms of their acting or anything. It just was weird, and I think. How many people were in your audience? Like, did they seem weirded out too? Or
So I saw it the last day they were showing it. There was like 2 or 3 other people.
Okay, that was it?
Yeah, nobody was really talking about it.
Yeah, the people in our audience, they were a little uneasy at certain points.
Really?
Understandably.
Yeah.
But I loved watching that just to see, because I like seeing people's, whatever it's called in their chair and all that stuff. So, but let's just talk about the movie in general. Like, I mean, for me, yeah, it was long. Did it feel long to you?
Not as long as it actually is, but it did feel long. And going back to like how it was overexposed, giving it that utopian feel, I feel that it tried to do that in a way, and it did it in such a way that it makes you feel uneasy because you're here to watch a movie that you know is not supposed to be a normal movie, but everything is la la la, like all happy and stuff, The location was beautiful. I have no idea where they filmed this or if they had to build the structures in the middle of nowhere. Was it a set? But incredible.
Yeah.
And, everything and you're kind of waiting. When's it going to get weird? When's it going to get weird? And then it gets weird so quickly, man.
Yeah, it gets weird very quickly. And I heard that not all, but all like the Swedish rituals are actual rituals.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. I don't know if they're in the same time period, but they're based on real rituals.
And the thing is, I talked to my friend who's from Norway, and he said that Midsommar is like an actual celebration because it is the winter solstice or something like that. So, I mean, if your friend asks you to come to a winter solstice, maybe you do, maybe you don't.
I probably will pass on that.
But I kind of felt like this movie relied on the previews a lot because you knew it was going to be weird. And I felt like it would drag on for a little bit and be this utopian, dystopian type of weird. Then something crazy would happen. And then it would kind of drag on some more again and have more interpersonal relationship stuff and not so much that shocking, gory thing.
Okay.
And then it would happen again. And then they would drag on for a little bit, or not so much gory, but something that surprised, like what just happened, you know?
Like,
and then it drags on again. And then, something else surprising happens. And then it drags on again. And then the end, pretty much.
Yeah, they definitely had some hooks in there in terms of where you're like, oh my gosh. And this is a hard movie to kind of review, because at the same time, it's like, you should be careful who you see this movie with. Like,
Very.
It's not
no parents.
It's
Don't
not
see it with
PG
parents.
at all.
It's not rated.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it's NR.
Well, maybe the director's cuts it. NR.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. We did see the NR version, but at the same time, like, do not see it with parents. Do not see it with
Maybe
anyone.
even a loved one.
I was gonna say, don't see it with a loved one, because there might be
some
you might be
awkward stuff.
disappointed about certain things. You might learn something about someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a weird movie. I'm happy I saw it alone.
Yeah.
Thank God. In that way.
Should have brought Taylor and Tiana
No,
for that.
I was like, I would have had a lot of discussions in that way. But it's an interesting movie. It really is, and it's weird because it's one of those movies that I still think people should see. Mm-hmm. If you can stomach it, it's like one of those.
Well, I would even, because there are movies that I would recommend people would see, and they definitely can't stomach it. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this is the goriest movie I've ever seen.
No.
It did surprise me in ways that I have not been, but for its entirety, it's not super gory.
No. It's more cultish in that way, and it's almost the equivalent of, and I'll give you an example of a rat in a snake cage. You know that something. Just how long is that rat going to survive?
That's a perfect analogy.
Before it just gets
Taken.
really taken. And that's kind of what that movie was. Is like, okay, when is it going to hit the fan?
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
As far as a horror movie go, I mean, I agree. I think you guys should see this if you're a fan of movies, because it does have a lot of technical aspects and stuff that it did push that envelope. And it really,
you're right.
You really it really tried new things, and I think the new things, it worked for that genre. But if you're looking at it for a horror movie, I was kind of let down because the jumping scene, super gory.
Yeah.
And the legs?
Yeah.
Oh, I cringed when that happened. Man.
Yeah,
Like,
I know you did.
And then, but I wish there was more of that. And that kind of sounds messed up, but like, I wanted to see that.
That's what
you know what I mean?
That's what you're signed on for.
And also, when the people got abducted, I felt like it didn't show what happened to them enough. You know what I mean? Like, one of them, Connie's boyfriend, the British guy.
Oh yeah.
When they found him strung up and hung out, like, I
Simon.
felt like, they didn't really they didn't show enough of that for me.
Maybe
to
they were
appreciate
waiting
it.
for the shock value at the end where you see him and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
and hung-
I
but
mean, we
people
all
like,
knew that he was dead.
The redheaded kid who was in We're the Millers. I don't remember his name. And Maze Runner.
Yeah.
He was really funny in the movie, and I think perfect like comedic alleviation or relief in there. But I never knew. I don't know what happened to him.
He was the one. Okay, when
He snuck off because the girl said she was going to show him something. But what happened to his body?
Oh,
You know
they didn't say
mean?
what happened to his body, but his face was the one that was worn.
By somebody else.
Yeah.
And maybe because like I don't know his face that well, I didn't
Yeah.
really process,
Yeah,
and I kind of thought it was him.
Yeah, that was
But
him.
they didn't show what else happened to it.
No,
you know?
no. I knew he was done when he peed on the tree.
On the ashes.
That was just like, okay, he's not surviving because he wasn't taking it too serious. He wasn't. Yeah.
And then the kid from Incest, or the Oracle, that was a little interesting.
Yeah.
I think I don't think they explained enough about that, or more than I would have liked to see, you know. But I'm trying to think, like, it's such a hard movie to talk about because there's so much in it, you know.
I mean, is it because movies are made to like make people talk and all that stuff. Are you gonna kind of like, did you want to know more? Like, or is it one of those like one and done? It's like, okay, I know. Like, if there was an article about, would you read it?
No, it's definitely a one and done type of movie for me, and it may be because I wasn't explained enough of the stuff in there. You know, like I didn't really get to understand why the cult was doing what they were doing, or like explaining to me how she became the maiden or the flower lady. You know what I mean, the queen or whatever. And I mean, maybe it would have just gotten lost in translation if they tried to explain the solstice. But yeah, I don't know.
It was interesting to see people come in. Like, what I really like about movies, if you probably don't know my pattern, is when these people come into a world and they're kind of introduced and the audience is introduced with the characters. Like, they learn the same time the characters are learning. And so you kind of instantly identify. And I did like that about this, is that we learned about the cult basically through the eyes of the character. And there were certain characters that reacted certain ways, like Connie and Simon, when they first saw the
jump.
They're like, okay, we're out of here. This is,
Yeah.
And other people were like, well, they were shocked, but they were still mesmerized, like what's going on. And even with Danny, like there were times when she's like, I want to get out of here. I want to go.
Yeah.
And so there was both of that, where you got the natural reactions of what some people would be like, but then at the same time, it's like, I don't know, it was all over the place, not in a bad way, in a good way, in terms of like it did deliver that in terms of characters that you can identify with. They weren't just stupid horror cliches of like, oh, there's there to be there.
I think that Danny was probably the best actress in the movie. Obviously, I focused on her more, but I just think that the film and the type of film that it is, it really depends on a wide range of emotions, from happiness, because you're talking about the relationship issues, the scary part of going into a new country and seeing people that you don't really know, and on top of it, it's a cult. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of different emotions going on in there.
Then the acceptance of the cult as that's your new family. Kind of thing.
Yeah, that was really weird too. And it's just, I think she did a good job. Sometimes I wasn't really happy with the acting of like the entire cast, but I think for her, it was the most consistent that I felt she did a very good job at it.
Yeah. So what else, for our audience, what else would you say about this movie? Obviously, if you haven't seen it, I don't know if we've turned you off to not seeing it, probably, or if we've piqued your interest.
This is the movie I kind of don't even want to give you spoilers, because I feel like then it would ruin the movie for you. You know what I mean? But there are like 3 scenes that you would just... what just happened? This is a movie, like it's crazy.
Yeah, it is in that way, and I would say maybe catch it on cable or something.
Yeah, it's not really going to a theater type of thing, but lock your doors. Don't let anybody see you watching this. It gets crazy.
It gets crazy. Yeah, you'll be judged for what you watched, and I'm actually happy BG didn't watch this.
Yeah, he would not be happy.
Yeah, he would have been disturbed, in that way. I think we could handle it.
But I think that going back to how it pushed the envelope, and it was very creative. I really did like that. The characters are pretty much high the entire movie, because they're taking different types of drugs. And
that's a good point.
I thought they didn't do it too much, but they did it in a way, like for example, the leaves kind of moved with her hands. And there were little like CGI kind of in there that really made you feel like, oh wow, I'm experiencing this high like with them.
Yeah, that's
and
a good point.
I thought that was really creative.
That is a very good point. And it was very well directed in that way. And the story for me was interesting because it kept me going the whole way. I obviously saw it a little before you did, a couple days before, and I didn't even know it was that long. When you told me the running time, I'm like, really? I had to look it up because it didn't feel like that to me.
Okay.
Because I was so invested in the journey of it, and like, I'm always fascinated by different cultures and what they're doing, especially when they appear to be so, happy and everything like that. But something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, do you want to just? This is kind of.
I agree. It was long. I knew it was long, but it didn't feel like a 3-hour movie to me. It felt like at some points it did drag on, but it did not feel like a 3-hour movie to me. Definitely. And the ending was.
Does this make you want to see Hereditary?
Probably just to see like the director's style, and maybe I would understand this movie a little better.
Yeah.
And everybody was talking about Hereditary.
Yeah,
as
they
a really
were.
good movie.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Hereditary is more in the. It's
more in the horror side.
Weird side. This is more cultish side, of it. This is hard for me to give a number to. I know we have to for the review because it all depends on your taste and your threshold.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed this movie only because I want to say I like this stuff, but I like horror movies, and even though it's not like a typical horror movie, it
was something that you haven't seen before.
It's something that I haven't seen. I like the pushing of boundaries, but be careful of that because whoever you
boundaries were crossed, big time,
beyond crossed, and so you have to be careful with that in terms of if you do see it with someone else, just be careful of their boundaries as well. And so, do you want to give?
Yeah, if we can start rating it. I'm not disappointed or mad that I saw this movie.
Yeah.
So right out of there, it's gonna probably come in at a 7. I want to give it a little bit higher than a 7, maybe a 7.5 because of the creativeness of the content and in the way they shot it. So I would probably rate it a 7.5. Like I'm not gonna say it's you should go see it, but I don't think you'd be upset if you did see it.
Yeah.
Again, that's if you love movies and you love that genre. If
Yeah.
you're just wanting a good movie, there are plenty other weird cult horror movies that you can go see.
Yeah.
But just for boundary pushing horror movie, or I wouldn't even call it a horror, like a thriller type of thing.
And that's interesting because there's a movie called Wicker Man, which I haven't seen.
I haven't seen that yet.
And I think that this is somewhat similar in certain ways in terms of a cult and someone, getting adopted into a cult family in that way. And so, but I am interested in seeing that now just because of this movie.
Something to compare it to.
Yeah, so that I have, because I know that a lot of people were comparing it to that. I would give this movie an 8 only because it just seems fair for me to do in terms of I did enjoy this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it in terms of I'd probably see it again just to see if I missed something.
Okay.
In it. It's one of those movies that a lot was thrown at us. Mm-hmm. And so when it does go on cable or Blu-ray or whatever,
Definitely.
I'm going to see it and see if I can catch certain things that, it seems like it needs a multiple viewing thing to get everything. But at the same time, you have to be ready for it. It has to appear in your taste. I can't really recommend it for everyone. So I would just give it an 8, but 8 for me was like must see in theaters. Yeah, but you can't see it in theaters, and so.
Well, I mean, you could just
It's an 8. It's still an 8 for me. Yeah, but you don't have to rush to see this. But if you are curious about what we're talking about, check it out and let us know what you think, or if you have seen it already,
and let us know what you thought about those 3 scenes right there.
Yeah,
there's at least 2 I can think of right now.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, and we'll maybe have a discussion about it. We'll be probably reading your comments and commenting on it as well.
Definitely. Well, thank you guys for tuning in again. We hope to see you next time. Don't forget to leave a comment about what you thought about this movie, what you would like us to see. Subscribe and leave a like for us. We'll see you next time.
Adios.